Hello to all my lovely Patreons and welcome back to another video. Today is going to be a little bit of a making vlog because my ironing board is looking very lackluster. I've recently realised because, as you know, I put my ironing board out next to my dining table as like a little bit of a table extension. Use it for ironing, use it just for putting blocks on, all that type of thing. And I've been looking at it and it's like a silver metallic colour. I'm like, no, that just doesn't fit with what I want anymore. And I want to brighten it up. I'm going to do it all scrappy. And what I'm thinking is there's going to be maybe 3 or 4 stars that go down the middle of the ironing board. And I've been and pulled out all of my plain fat quarters because I want the stars to be in plain colours and then everything else just to be random patchwork around it. I picked out these colours because I thought that most of the colours that I'll pick out will be pink. I'm not sure about this one. I did also pull out all of my others because I want the stars to stand out. So if I do a star in pink, then it might not, because if I do a star in pink, it might not stand out against the other fabrics. So let's have a look at what else I've got. I've got a blue, maybe a blue. Let's have a look. What do you think to those? Those go quite nicely together, don't they? So I'll go for those as the star. And then, as you saw on my last video, I stored my scraps all over the place and there was some upstairs. And I've got these are pinks. So I'm going to pull out the rest of my pink scraps, have a bit of a rummage and try and put something together. For the patchwork, I might just do squares, I might do half square triangles, I might just do all sorts of things all over the board. We'll just see where it goes and just have fun with it. So I'm going to do the main panel patchwork. It is going to be quilted. I'm not going to put the wadding all the way underneath. The wadding will just measure the same as the top of the board because I don't want it to interfere with the drawstring going underneath. I did follow a loose video. I did watch a video of a lady who made a drawstring cover for her ironing board. So I'm just going to loosely follow that and see where we end up. And I thought I'd bring you along with me. And perhaps if you have a plain ironing board like me, it might inspire you to personalise it and just give it a little bit of character. So this is the pile that we're working with. I've tried not to just go for pinks. I've got some reds in there, some flashes of blues, all different shades. A few more reds here. We've got these, that's got sewing machines all over it. So I definitely want to use that. Little random bits, little ones that I like, and then those fat quarters that I bought from the festival. Those will be really fun just to cut into, and then because I get scared of cutting into stuff if I love it so much, so then it'll be cut into and I won't be bothered about using it. And then these are the colours for the stars. I think it will create a nice bit of a juxtaposition and these should stand out quite nicely. So I've been having a bit of a play around with sizes on the ironing board. So this is a 6-inch square ruler. And when I put that on the ironing board, I think that's about the same size as I would want the whole star to be. It still gives plenty of space to be able to see the other patchwork around. And I initially just thought I would do some stars down the centre. But now I think I'm just going to put them any old how, and I might make some smaller ones just to dot the smaller ones around, but I do want the big ones to be nice and striking. So if it's going to be an overall size of 6-inch, then I think that means that my inside square will be 4 inches of the star, and then I'm going to do them as half square triangles rather than flying geeses. So that means that they need to be a finished size of 2 by 2. And that will make it, no, that'd make it 8. That'd make it 8 by 8. Maths is not my strong thing. The dog's down here trying to make herself comfortable on a quilt, which she has pulled down from the sofa. I'm sure there's something online that I can look at to get the sizes. But maybe to keep it simple, I'll just go 4 and 2. That will obviously make 8, but it's a nice simple size for me to remember. And then perhaps I could half it, so I could do 2 and 1. Oh, that's a bit small, isn't it? You're probably shouting at me now through the screen what type of measurements I need to do, but I will work it out and I'll let you know. But for now, let me get planning and cutting the fabric. So I've done 1 star, and I thought I just want to do 1 star before I start cutting out, just in case my maths is wrong. And I'm really pleased with how that's come out. It's quite big on the ironing board, so what I'm thinking is I'll do a big one, and then I think I'll do maybe 3 big ones, 2 small ones, and then just fill in all the gaps with scraps. But I'm really happy with that. I like the variety of colour, and I think the star stands out really nicely. Let me put it against that so you can see. So let's get making some stars, cutting them out, and having faith in our maths. So for these sizes then, what I did in the end is the centre has a finished size of 4 inch, so I've cut the inner square at 4.5, and then I did 4 squares at 3 inch of the matching colour for this, and then 4 matching patterned ones, and then when sewn into a half square triangle, that created a half square triangle that was a touch over 2.5 inches. So then that was the size of these. All these blocks are unfinished 2.5 inches. So yeah, then I just cut 4 extra at 2.5, and it came together. I was so pleased. I'm not sure on the measurements that I'll do for the smaller one. I'll have to do that when I come to it. Perhaps I'll just half the measurements, or do something like 2.5, and then these are 1.5. Yes, that'll be a finished size of 1. This will be a finished size of 2. So we'll see how we get on, and just play it by ear. Have a little bit of fun doing some sewing. Here's the layout that I'm thinking of at the moment, and then I'll have patchwork in here. I don't know if I'm going to bother doing other stars. I might just leave it as these, and then have all of these with just patchwork, just to use up what I've got, these 2.5 inch squares. I can cut a bunch of those and just do panels in between. I was initially, when I first designed the board, going to put them all in straight lines like this, but it just filled me with worry that I wouldn't be able to centre that on the board. So I think if I set them off one another a little bit, then that will make it less pressure to make sure that they're straight and even. So here I think I've got space for 1 more, so if we put that there, I can maybe set it there so it's in the middle, that one. So yeah, I'll do 1 more. I've got a blue fabric, so I think I'll do it in blue, and then I'll get to piecing the rest. Obviously it needs to overhang the board. The video that I watched, I think it said 4 inches, so I might just do some strips around the edge. I'll see when I get to it. And yeah, I love it. How gorgeous would these be as a quilt? I just think that would be wonderful, and a great way to use up your scraps. And I love that it's like the opposite way around to what you would normally do. You would normally do here as the patchwork and then these bits as the plain colours, but I really like it like this. So I've been stitching away. I've joined about half of it. I need to cut a few more of the 2.5 inch because I've had to pinch some from this end to make it that end. and I'm actually happy with how it's come out because the width of it is absolutely perfect. It is just bang on the width of the ironing board. So what I'll do is I'll find something that coordinates from my stash and join it all the way around. So that way the bit that gets tucked underneath isn't patchworked or anything, so I don't need to worry about the seams when I'm drawing in the drawstring. So I think that just goes on perfectly, and that will help me keep it centered on the board, won't it? Because I'll know that that's where it goes. So I've got this half to do, and I need to cut some more squares. I do think I've ran into a little bit of a snag in terms of I didn't think about using this. I thought about how pretty it would look, and when I'm ironing my actual quilt blocks I might lose them on this such busy print. I might lose them on this such busy print or not even be able to see them. Most of the time I do use my wool pressing mat on top of my ironing board, just because I find this gives a really nice iron, and this hasn't got a lot of padding to it. So yeah, I'll have to use this on the ironing board so that I can actually see my quilt blocks. So I don't know whether a patchwork ironing board is the most sensible thing. I mean, it's going to look nice while it's in here, and when it's folded up, I usually stand it against the radiator there when it's folded up, because it's never folded up for more than a day or so. It should really go out in the kitchen, but I don't put it there. So it's going to look nice. But whether it's practical, I'll let you know in a couple of weeks. It's coming up to 5 o'clock. I'm going to aim to get this whole thing sewn together, and then tomorrow I'll put the excess on and get it quilted tomorrow. So it is going to be a 2-day job. I thought optimistically I might get it done today, but there's just been other things that have required my attention as well. There's the duck. So I'll come back and I'll check in with you in the morning and show you where I've gotten to. I definitely think I should make a quilt like this. What do you think? I think I would do the stars bigger and obviously all in a line. I don't think I've put them out of line enough to make them look like they're purposely not lined up. It just looks like I've accidentally not lined them up on here. But you can see here I've added almost like a border all the way around, and this is what is going to sit underneath the ironing board. And I just used the strips that I purchased from the festival. They was about 4 or 5 inches wide by the width of fabric. I'd already cut into them though to do some bits of patchwork on here, but I thought that was quite good use of those strips. I used 3 of them, because here I had to patch that one in, and then on this side I had to patch it in either. You can't see these more than maybe ½ an inch on the front. It will all just be tucked underneath, but it's nice to have something that matches. On the skinny end of the ironing board I had to extend it a little bit because I couldn't get it to work with the fabric, so you can see this little bit here. But again, this fabric is used in the quilt, and this was left over from my binding of my double gauze quilt, and yeah, it's upside down. So I'm going to get the wadding cut out now. I'm going to check the video to see what I need to do for hemming it, because the lady put it through on the overlocker, so I'm thinking that I might just be able to do a small hem all the way around, but then I think you have to fold it in anyway to create the drawstring. So I'm going to refresh my memory on the video, do the wadding and start quilting. So just as per the video, I'm just folding over to make a little channel for the drawstring to go in, and the video says that you'll get round the corners a little bit easier on the sewing machine if you fold them in advance. So that's all I'm doing. And so I'm going to leave an opening in the cover at the narrow end because that's where the tie is on my current one and it goes tight, so I assume that's a good place to do it rather than on the side. And when I'm stitching, I'm going to do the seam as close as I can to the raw edge, just so that I've got more room for pulling. So let's give it a go, see how it goes. And if you didn't notice on the pinning, I didn't do the hem. And I am actually glad that I didn't do the hem because I don't think I left enough fabric around to quite go under the machine. I guess the test will be once I put the drawstring in. So I'll let you know of that, of course. I am a little bit scared that this isn't going to fit. I've just laid it on the machine and I'm just a bit scared. So I've taken the old cover off. Even though it's only a piece of fabric, I thought it might make it a little bit easier to get my new one on, especially in the pinch points. Oh, I've just noticed a thread there that I didn't thread. So that just might make it a little bit easier for me to get this on. And what I've actually done is took the string out of the old one as well, just so I can repurpose the string, because obviously I know then that it's nice and strong, because I thought I could use a piece of ribbon or something like that, but I just didn't know if the ribbon that I had would be strong enough to withstand the tight pulling, because obviously you need to get the cover really taut. So I just thought, well, I'll just use the string that was, oh, that's just snapped. I'll just use the string that was provided in the original, and I'm just going to use one of these darning needles to get it all the way around. Get that out of there. So yes, it really is a test and I'm nervous. So I'm going to thread this onto the darning needle. Shall I knot it on? Yeah, I'll knot it so that it doesn't, so I don't lose my darning needle. Somehow I've lost my ability to do a knot. So if you do end up following the original video, just maybe I didn't take into account enough for shrinkage when I was doing the quilting, perhaps. I just don't know. So let's get this all threaded and keep your fingers crossed for me that it's going to come out okay. These darning needles that I'm using, they're by Knit Pro. And they come in this lovely case with a nice design on the front, and they're really nice wooden ones, and they're really nice and smooth, good quality. But as you can see, they're huge. If you tried to weave in your ends with these, if you was knitting something 4-ply or even DK, I think they're too big. So what I do is I have this one that is just like easy adjuster, fits any size of wool. So I just pretty much keep them all in this case. It's really handy because the case is big, so it's hard to lose your darning needle, but the needle is really handy for big things like this because the eye is really big. So for threading elastic and that type of thing. I actually bought those from Ellie at Craft House Magic. It was a good year or so ago now, maybe even longer, so I don't know if she still has them. I'm all bunched up at this end, so let's try and smooth it round. But I'm nearly at the start. Woohoo! I'm going to knot these two ends together so neither one of them shoots back inside. A moment of truth. Can't put it off any longer. Let's do it. I think it's going to fit. I just need to get the string into like the very furthest part of the channel rather than at the top of the channel, which it is there. It fit! It did! Oh, I'm so happy. So on this edge here, there's only a small lip underneath, but that's what it was like on my old one. I'd already noted because of the way that this, I call the dog toys, because of the way that this attached, you can't get much there because of where it's like welded. But yeah, it fits. Shall I give it a little iron? Because it has got a little bit crumpled up, so I'll give it a bit of an iron. You probably noticed that there was a piece of like wadding already underneath. That was underneath the previous cover, so I've just left that. I am so beyond thrilled with this. Although I know it's going to be difficult to see my blocks on the ironing board, it's just going to bring me so much joy to look at it every time I get my ironing board out, and it will just make such a nice little workspace, a nice little addition to things. Like I said, most of the time I use my wall pressing mat anyway. This is more of like a table extension. Are you inspired to make one as well? I'm so pleased with it. I'm going to get the iron out, give it a little press just to give it a nice clean finish, and then I'll show you close up. And this is exactly where I usually just rest my iron when it's not in situ. And how good does that look? That's exactly what I wanted, a little bit of personality on the board.